Oh, hey gang, it's going to be a busy lab week coming up. So spring break is next week. So we need to get all our flies to the point where they can just do their breeding business unsupervised, and we don't have to worry about them over spring break. So to do that, we've got a couple of things we've got to get done. The first part is let's finish up the complementation cross experiment. Yeah, we're going to be all through with that. I don't care what you want to do. We're going to be through with that experiment this week. Okay, so right now, many of you have bottles that look kind of like this. Look at all those flies in there. This is from our Scarlet by Brown cross. Lots and lots of flies. Count them or finish counting them. I'd like to see as many flies done here as we can. And then when you're done with these, all the ones that have scarlet and brown on the label, you can put them in the back of the room after washing them out. So yeah, we're going to be totally done with this experiment. We do have to do some analysis, but we'll do that after spring break is over. So we can just get this out of the way. All right, goodbye. Don't worry, if that's your bottle, I'll put it back in the incubator. Okay, the other thing is we've also started the next experiment, which is a triple point mapping cross. Now we've got to do a few more things with that to be ready for when you get back from spring break. So over the last week and a half, I've had you set up stocks of white miniature forked and wild type flies. Okay? So what we're doing now is you should have these bottles in your incubator right now, something like these. They aren't producing flies just yet. It's going to be close. For instance, I look here, I see there's the adults that were put in here. They're still doing fine. I'm a little worried. Yeah, the larvae are immature at this point. They're very young larvae. That's not your fault. Don't worry about it. But what I'm hoping is that by the end of the week, these flies will start to emerge. We need to collect virgin females, just as we did before. Okay, so you should have these balls in the incubator right now. All right, to remind you what these guys look like, let's take a close look. So what you see right here is a wild type fly, and you probably instantly spotted that it's male. Wild type flies, as you can see, have the nice red eyes. So you can see right there, red eyes. The wings are long and extend past the end of the abdomen. So that's perfectly normal. The tricky thing is the bristles. Look at the bristles, all those little fine hairs all over its body. Okay, so we're looking at the bristles in the wild type. And as you can see, those bristles in the wild type fly tend to be nice and straight and end in good sharp points. Well, not exactly straight, but gently curved. So that's the way a wild type bristle should look. And there's plenty to look at. I tend to favor just focusing on the thorax right here. Just look at the top of the thorax and ask whether all those bristles are looking pretty good. And they do. So that's a nice healthy wild type fly right there. Okay, what about miniature? Oh man, I just pulled these out of a fly bottle and they're looking a little dirty. There's something that came up with them. I do not know what that is. It's okay. These are going to go feed my spiders in a moment. Anyway, the white miniature forked. That's this one. It's a triple mutant. So you'll see three things should be wrong with it. Obvious one. Look at those eyes. Those white eyes. So their eyes are all pale. Look at the wings. This is miniature. The wings only extend to about the end of the abdomen. So they got little short wings. What about the bristles? The bristles are often the tricky part. And it doesn't help that this fly is kind of grubby here. Let's see if I can focus on him. What you want to look for is ask, are all the bristles nice and straight and well formed? And this one looks pretty normal. But let's zoom in just a little bit. We're going to go to 25x, see if there's anything wrong with him. And they're a little bit misaligned. They're a little bit curled. You can see one. Let's see if I can get him positioned right. You can see one on his right side. It's kind of funny looking. It's kind of bent. And it's kind of thick, and it ends in a blunt tip. So what you're going to be doing is looking carefully, inspecting their bristles, and see if there's any abnormalities here. Like there's one that's going off at a bad angle. So basically with forked, that's what you're looking at here. You get flies that look like they've got a bad hair day. They're just not as well groomed as the wild types. Again, it doesn't help. I got all this crud all over these guys. Here, I'll just pet you a little bit. See if we can get some of that off. And then he decides to walk off. Yeah, you can see it's also holding his wings oddly. Okay, but the bristles, actually, this will be the hard part because the bristles in this one are looking fairly good. What you want to look for is if there are any kinked or blunt-ended bristles in the thorax. And like that one right there, the second most posterior one in the thorax is looking a little odd to me. It's got a little hook at the end. So again, it's subtle. Let's see if I've got any others here that look a little better. Looking a little better means looking worse, as far as we're concerned. Okay, there's one. Yeah, so look at that posterior most bristle on the thorax. There's one, it's bent. It's got a sharp bend in it. It's got kind of a hook. The other bristles are not looking quite so normal. So this is typically what you will see is a scattering of malformed bristles across the body of the fly. And this guy's ready to take off, I can tell. He would like to fly away. So sorry about that, but this is the one that's going to drive you nuts when we start counting these, is forked. It's really tricky to score. So look carefully at them, and let's hope your flies are cleaner. Yeah, so like, let's see if I can get them at focus here. Yeah, you can see that one posterior bristle is kind of bent. The other one is kind of, kind of coarse and thick. You can also see a bristle or two that ends in a blunt end. Sometimes they'll be forked, sometimes they'll be twisted. You'll just have to look for that. Okay, very good. So before he flies away, I'm going to go feed him to my spiders. All right, so this week, if you haven't already done so, you should clear all the adults from these bottles. So we're now waiting for new adults to emerge so we can start collecting virgin females. This will be your primary lab job this week, is collecting virgin females. In order to do this next phase of the experiment, what I want you to do is set up a couple more bottles. So let's get these out of the way for a moment. Some new bottles that I want you to make up. One will be labeled white miniature forked females by wild type males, like this one. The other will be wild type females by white miniature forked males. As you can tell, we're going to be doing a reciprocal cross, another reciprocal cross. And this time, though, it will make a big difference. We're going to be looking at the F1s after spring break. So it'll be looking at the phenotypes of the F1s produced by this cross you're setting up this week. And after this week, we are actually going to, once you tally them, we're going to discard these guys. So the female wild type by male white miniature forked, we just want to look at the F1s, compare those to the F1s and the other cross. And then these will be eventually discarded. This is the important one. So we got our female white miniature forked by male wild type. In fact, it's important enough that if you've got enough flies, you might want to set up a second bottle of these, just as backup. So we've got plenty of these to go with. Okay, so before you leave for spring break then, ideally what you will have is these two parental crosses all set up. And then they will spend their vacation making lots of F1 flies for you to tally up and cross to make F2s after spring break. And we'll use those F2s to make a map of the white, miniature, and fork genes and their location on the X chromosome. Okay. Now, wait, you might say. What if my fly stocks are slow? Remember, you got to get those virgins from these bottles here. And you're saying, what if this doesn't work? What if you don't get enough flies by the end of this week to do the cross? Don't panic. It's okay. So what will happen is that around about Thursday or Friday of this week, if that rolls around and you're still not getting any new adult flies, call me. There's the number on the whiteboard. That's my phone. Just call me and I will come running up the stairs and I will give you fresh fly stocks and you'll start over. That's not bad. It's okay. You'll just make these bottles again and get some fresh flies going. That's because you can't just let these sit over spring break and then come back and get your virgin females, because there'll be too many flies to work with here. So you will set up these bottles again. Again, this is only if they don't work out this week. You'll set up these again. They'll be busy producing white miniature forked and wild type flies over spring break. And then when you get back from spring break, you'll set those up in this kind of cross and we'll get those. We still have time to get the mapping cross done before the end of the semester. So no problem here. It's just if we can get it going earlier, then that gives us a little more slack. That's all. Okay. So that's what you got to do this week. All right. So you're going to finish the Scarlet by Brown complementation cross. If you haven't already done so, you're going to take those bottles and rinse them out and put them in the back of the room so I can sterilize them over spring break. You are then going to pull out these bottles that we set up between a week and a half and 2 weeks ago, and hopefully they're going to be producing enough flies that you can collect virgins. You're going to collect virgins from these, virgin females, and as usual, we don't care if the males are virginal or not. And you're going to put them in these new bottles, which you'll then sit over the spring break vacation. Yeah, I know, it's a little bit of a pain. You recall collecting virgins. It was just a little bit tedious, but not too bad. It would be easier if these were producing more flies right now, but give them a few more days. We'll see. Okay, our goal this week is to get all these flies breeding so we can just pick up with a mapping cross as soon as you get back. The flies will all do all the work for us over spring break. Your assignment over spring break is to completely forget about genetics for a while. Relax, bask in the warmth of family and friends, or get out of the house for a while and enjoy yourself. Go to Cancun if you can, whatever. Just take it easy. I'm not assigning any reading or any homework over that week. So promise me you'll take it easy. Right now in class we're covering some tricky problems in lecture. So you might be afraid you'll forget everything. Don't worry. First class when we get back is a review to remind you of everything I taught you before you went out and blissed out and forgot everything over spring break. So don't worry about it. We will cover it again. There'll be no more problem exercises when you get back. And I know you look forward to those so much. Everyone in class is currently passing so far. You're all doing fine. So put grades out of your mind as well. Just really, for a whole week, just relax. I'm not going to think about genetics for a while either. I've got a wedding anniversary next week. Oh boy, 42 years. And we're planning to make a quick trip to Wisconsin to see our granddaughter, who is 3 years old, so that'll be fun. And I hope you get a chance to do something non-academic for a while as well. That's your mission. Struggle a little bit this week, get the lab set up. Next week, relax. Okay, so we'll see you in class.